we put a lot of trust in our police officers and in, the power we give them, the weaponry we assign them. And, of course, the story that took place Friday night down in Pierce County, where a Pierce County Sheriff's deputy, Alan Myron, killed his in-laws and then turned the gun on himself. But he did it in front of his 15-year-old, and the 15-year-old's friend was in the house. And it's a special brand of crazy to, murder your in-laws and take your own life in front of your own kid. And we are getting nothing from the Pierce County Sheriff's Department on what happened. I mean, all they've confirmed is here's who died. And they said there was a argument right before Deputy Myron killed his in-laws. And then, of course, a few hours later after the standoff, took his own life. And that's all they've told us. In fact, we checked again today, and there's been no update. They just aren't providing any details as to what went down. There's been a lot of speculation. The deputy was on medical leave for a year and a half, and perhaps the in-laws were financially supporting him. We've heard that their marriage was falling apart, and maybe the father-in-law was, they fought over that. Maybe the in-laws were withdrawing the financial support. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. All we know is that a cop who, we all figure that our cops are our heroes, right? But this one was obviously just a half click away from total crazy, and he clicked over to crazy Friday night when he killed his in-laws and himself and did all this in front of his kid. And so I was wondering, what kind of mental health evaluation, training, screening, ongoing happens for police officers? And so I did a check on the web and found a site that deals specifically with police mental health issues. And down in Berkeley, California, police officer, mental health professional Jeff Shannon joins us here on News Talk 97.3 Cairo FM. Jeff, I appreciate you taking the time this afternoon. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks for having me on.
All right, so now are you familiar with the Pierce County story that went down Friday night?
No, I'm really not familiar with the specifics of this case, this tragic case.
Okay, well, let's talk in more general terms then, because we do put a lot of trust in our police officers. We, there was talk that this particular sheriff's deputy, that he during an hours-long standoff, that he had his scanner going, that he knew the tactics of the SWAT team that had surrounded him. What kind of ongoing mental health evaluation is done of and for police officers?
Yeah, again, I want to be real clear not to comment on this specific incident.
Right, understood.
But in general, what happens as part of the hiring process of almost every department includes a psychological screening where you take a battery of personality inventory tests and usually meet with a psychologist or a mental health professional. So that's part of the initial hiring process. So, the research pretty clearly shows that police officers emotionally, when they walk in the door of a police agency, are basically usually more healthy than the general population. We tend to be able to handle more stress. We tend to be able to work independently. And so we're generally pretty well off as we walk into the police agency. Mm-hmm. Of course, that doesn't account for, working years on the job and the stress inherent in police work and what that does to an individual over time.
Well, and that is one thing that a lot of people have been speculating on. There was a sheriff's deputy in Pierce County where this happened, who was killed just a couple of months ago. Of course, it was in Pierce County where the 4 Lakewood police officers were gunned down and murdered. And there's been a lot of speculation about the toll that this has taken on the law enforcement community, particularly in Pierce County. So again, not talking about this guy, but talk a little bit about that, because I saw firsthand. I did my show at the Lakewood PD right after the murder of their 4 officers, and I see how affected these men and women are, and yet they're expected to be strong for the community
Right.
all the time. Is there a lot of internalizing that goes on through all this?
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems is that people in general tend to assign us police officers sort of superhuman powers. It's just kind of, how we view police officers, which of course isn't the case. Of course, we are human beings like everyone else. We have families like other people. And the problem gets to be when officers start to internalize that sense that they have these superhuman powers, which is kind of inevitable over time because people see it that way. And historically, police officers have been loath to seek help when they need it because of this sort of kind of grin and bear it and work through it type of mentality. I do have to say that currently the law enforcement industry is making a change in the direction of really acknowledging the emotional aspects, the psychological aspects of a police career and how important it is to take care of our mental health along the way. In my own department in Berkeley, we have an array of services that are available to our officers that are really preventative in nature. Things like offering a critical incident stress debriefing after a critical incident, having a peer counselor program available. We do some education, and we also have an EAP, an employee assistance program, which offers a number of sessions a year for free to officers. So it is important that we do preventative type education with our officers so it doesn't get to a point where we have a terrible tragedy like this.
Is it something that we as the public, I mean, I understand that it's an ongoing source of conversation within your law enforcement community. Is this something that we in the public should be nervous about when, a cop who's capable of killing his in-laws in front of his own child, I would think that cop is every bit as likely to go off on a member of the general public. And, as I said, they've got a lot of training. They've got a lot of weaponry. Certainly 99.99% of cops are good, solid people. Do we need to be nervous about the small percentage that could go off like that?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the hiring process is just so detailed and so difficult. The screening is really good. Like I said, officers generally are very, very well-adjusted people and, do the right thing. We just need to do more education about how we take care of ourselves as officers. But I don't think there's any need whatsoever for us to start, second-guessing our patrol cop and whether he's mentally stable or not, because clearly the vast majority of officers are very healthy psychologically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. All right, your website, your blog is policementalhealth.blogspot.com, right? Got it. Okay. Hey, I enjoyed talking with you. I appreciate you coming on with me, Jeff. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you bet. policementalhealth.blogspot.com, the deal with stuff like this. Okay, coming up next, about 15 minutes from now, could have dramatic impact on our state. An Idaho politician says he wants to pass a law identical to Arizona's immigration law in Idaho. You think that's going to just force more and more illegals into Washington? You better believe it. We're going to talk to him live in about 15 minutes. I've got a poll up right now. If you go to mynorthwest.com, the Dory Monson show page, the question is out there.